Most people think the moment your life starts to fall apart is loud, obvious, and dramatic. They imagine tears, doors slamming, friendships ending, and a person collapsing under the weight of everything at once. But the truth is usually quieter, slower, and much more invisible than that. It begins with small compromises you make with yourself. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay silent when something hurts. You pretend to laugh at things that actually sting. And each time you choose silence, your mind learns a dangerous lesson: that your feelings are not welcome in the world. Psychology explains that this pattern doesn't start in adulthood. It often begins in childhood when a person first realizes that being honest about their emotions leads to rejection, criticism, or being told they are too sensitive, so they adjust. They shrink, they perform, and the world rewards the performance, not the truth. The danger is that the performance eventually becomes the person's identity. They forget who they were before they learn to hide. Over time, the mask becomes so natural that even moments of joy feel filtered through it. You laugh, but you also scan the room to see if your laughter is acceptable. You cry, but only in places where no one can see you. You celebrate your wins quietly because part of you fears someone will judge you for shining too brightly. Emotional masking is not weakness, it is survival. The brain is designed to protect you from emotional pain, and if the cost of honesty is punishment or abandonment, it will choose silence every time. The tragedy is that silence creates loneliness even when you are surrounded by people. You can sit in a room full of friends and still feel unknown. You can live in a house full of family and still feel unseen. And when loneliness becomes your normal emotional climate, your nervous system starts to believe there is nowhere safe to land, not even inside your own mind. Eventually, the body starts to express what the mouth will not. You may notice tension in your jaw because you are always holding back words. Your shoulders may ache because they carry emotions you never allow yourself to release. Your sleep becomes shallow. Your thoughts become louder at night. You replay conversations again and again, editing yourself in your mind, wishing you had the courage to speak your truth, and yet still preparing the next performance for tomorrow. Psychology calls this emotional suppression, but to you, it simply feels like exhaustion. An exhaustion so deep that no amount of rest truly restores you, because the real fatigue comes from constantly pretending to be okay. And the longer you do it, the more automatic it becomes, until even you can no longer tell where the real you ends and the performance begins. The most dangerous part is that suppressed emotions never disappear. They wait, they collect. They store themselves in the nervous system like files saved on a computer that you never open, but never delete. One day, something small, a disagreement, a disappointment, a minor rejection, triggers a reaction that feels completely out of proportion to the situation. You panic. You withdraw. You break down over something that looks tiny from the outside, but nothing about your reaction is random. You are not overreacting. You are reacting to years of unspoken emotions finally demanding your attention. Anxiety, burnout, and emotional numbness are often not the beginning of a problem, but the final message your body sends after years of being ignored. When awareness finally arrives, it can feel terrifying because it requires you to look at everything you've been running from. Healing begins not with forcing yourself to be strong, but with allowing yourself to be honest. The first step toward emotional freedom is simply naming what you feel without filtering it, minimizing it, or judging it. This may sound small, but for someone who's spent years hiding, it is an act of courage. You may notice that your inner critic immediately tries to interrupt. It tells you your feelings are dramatic, inconvenient, or selfish. That voice is not the truth. It is the echo of old environments where vulnerability was safe. Over time, with practice and patience, you can learn to replace that inner critic with a gentler inner companion, one that listens instead of silences, one that comforts instead of shamas. Healing does not erase the past, but it rewrites the meaning you attach to it. A powerful question to ask yourself is, when did I first learn to hide? Psychology encourages curiosity over judgment. Maybe you learned to hide because your parents were emotionally unavailable and you internalized the belief that your needs were a burden. Maybe you learn to hide because every time you express sadness, you were told to be grateful or be stronger. Maybe you learn to hide because vulnerability was used against you. When you trace the beginning of the pattern, you begin to see that it never meant you were weak. It meant you were adapting. You were surviving in an environment that did not know how to receive your emotions. And recognizing that truth can be deeply liberating because you realize the story you have been telling yourself, the story of being too sensitive or too much, was never yours to carry. But awareness alone is not enough. Real change requires practice. It means slowly, gently, and consistently allowing yourself to be seen, first by yourself, and then, when you feel safe, by others. This doesn't mean you must suddenly share everything with everyone. It means choosing one safe person, one honest moment, one true sentence at a time. It means saying, "That hurt," or "I feel overwhelmed," or "I need support," even when your instinct is to stay silent. Each time you choose truth over performance, you teach your nervous system a new lesson. It is safe to exist as you are. And that lesson, repeated over time, rewires the emotional script you once believed was permanent. The journey will not always feel comfortable. In fact, it may feel more painful at first because you are finally allowing yourself to feel emotions you once buried. There may be days when you want to retreat back into your mask because it feels familiar and safe. But remember this, safety without authenticity is not peace, it is self-abandonment. Peace comes from alignment, from living in a way that honors your inner world instead of silencing it. And as you grow, you may notice that certain relationships no longer fit the person you are becoming. That is not failure, that is evolution. Some people love the version of you that never spoke up. The people who truly belong in your life will learn to love the version of you that finally does. One of the most empowering realizations in psychology is that emotional strength is not measured by how well you hide your pain, but by how honestly you face it. True resilience is not pretending you are unaffected. True resilience is saying, "This hurts, and I'm still worthy of love, care, and understanding." When you release the belief that you must always be okay, you create space for authentic connection. Because connection requires truth. No one can truly love you if they only ever meet your mask. But when you allow yourself to be seen, flaws, fears, softness, and all, you open the door to relationships built on something real. So, if you're someone who learned to hide your emotions, this is not a story about what is wrong with you. This is a story about how deeply you once needed protection, and how powerfully you adapted to survive. And now, as an adult, you have the chance to rewrite that story. You can choose honesty over hiding. You can choose connection over isolation. You can choose compassion over self-criticism. Healing is not about becoming a different person. It is about returning to the person you were before the world convinced you that your emotions were too much. And that journey, though slow, imperfect, and sometimes painful, is one of the most courageous journeys a human being can take. And maybe the most beautiful truth of all is this. You were never broken. You were coping. You were protecting yourself the best way you knew how. Now you have new tools, new awareness, and new possibilities. You do not have to rush the process. You do not have to heal perfectly. All you need to do is take one small step toward honesty, and then another, and then another. Over time, those tiny steps add up to a life where you no longer need to hide behind strength, because you finally understand that being real, being open, and being fully human was always your greatest strength.